Okay guys, so over the years I've tried to perfect my PVA bag fishing, and in this video I'm going to give you my top 5 hints and tips on how to get the very best of PVA bags when you're fishing some very tricky places for some very wary carp. So sit back, relax, join me back in the office now, and we're going to run through my top 5 tips that are going to help you put more fish on the bag. See you in a bit. Hi everyone, so this is going to be a kind of whistle-stop tour of my top 5 sort of tips and hints really for PVA bag fishing. Now these PVA bags are pretty much different to probably what most people fish with, and these PVA bags are really designed for no further than 40 to 50 yards, mostly margin fishing, which is what I do. But that being said, if you want to pack them out with powders, then absolutely you can hit that sort of 120, 130 mark, which I've done at linear before. So it can be done, but most of the time they're designed for close-in work. So probably for 10 years of my fishing, I probably didn't give PVA bags the credit they deserved. Growing up in my sort of generation, it's very much hinge stiff rigs for everything, you know, reading these fantastic books people putting out, and you know, chod rigs and a variety of other methods. But PVA bag fishing really came into its own for me when I started fishing Nutsey, and then from there I took it on to Christchurch and did quite well on Christchurch on the Lynch Hill complex, and of course linear. I spent many a year fishing on Manor, and you know, when that was really busy I'd go onto Brasenose or onto one of the other lakes like Oxley's, and again they just proved their effectiveness. I just want to take it to the next stage, and so what I'm sharing with you today is really my sort of sneaky tricks that I use, and hopefully it'll put more fish on the bank for you. So, you know, we're all in this together, and I know a friend of mine said, why are you giving away all your secrets? Well, I want other people to catch, you know. I'm not one of those. I mean, quite often I've said in my videos before, especially on Christchurch, you know, if I was catching, you know, I'm only happy to share what baits it was on, the rig it was on, where it was from. And I know people think that's silly, and I know you think you won't get in there again because people jump in, and they absolutely do. I just like sharing information to help other people. So so that's pretty much what this video is about. So without further ado, let's get into tip 1. Okay guys and girls, so the first tip is about rigs. Now I keep things fairly simple. Now this is a multi-rig that I use inside a bag. Now one of the key things you'll notice, and I've got one here ready to show you, is that I will utilize the full amount of coated braid, just with a small break at the bottom there, just to obviously help with the hinge effect. Now you might think, why the heck are you using coated braid inside a PVA bag? That makes no sense. Well, when I show you my PVA bag, you'll get the reason why. Now it's short enough that we're going there nice and easy, but it's the resetting properties that I really like of this. So if I was using just standard sort of thin diameter braid that you'd use typically in a PVA bag, then when it comes to rest, it wouldn't reset like this. Especially if you're using a wafter, it just kind of collapses on itself. And I've seen it too many times from up trees, certainly in Nutsey back in the day, and latterly in Christchurch at Lynch Hill. So they'll pick it up, or a bird picks it up, and it just collapses on top of itself. Now, yeah, you could argue if it has a pop-up, it goes down a little bit slower, but I've even seen it when it goes up, sort of come down and coil onto each other right next to the lead. I just don't want that to happen, because the sort of lakes I'm fishing, I might be leaving these out for 48, 72 hours. I mean, that's rare to leave it out at 72, but sometimes it does happen. And I just want to be absolutely confident that it's sat there, prone, ready to go. So what sort of bits and pieces have I got here? So first of all, I've got ESP boom kicker here. So really solid, really solid. So you couldn't just put the you couldn't pull it on past a knot. You have to kind of thread it on first, then do a loop at the end. But it's so rigid that it just helps kick everything away. Then nice and simple, I've got some putty here, and again here. The hooks I've got here is the Corda, and this is just their choddy hook. And again, I've got a coated braid. Now this is a blast from the past. This is two-tone, and I'm not sure if you can still get this now. This is the Striptease two-tone from ESP. Found it in my box when I was cleaning out the garage, and I thought, you know what, yeah, I used to love using that. Let's tie one up with one of those. Now in terms of the slip D element, So I'm going to hold it up here, see how easy it is for you to see. But essentially, I've just got a small piece of silicone over here. Now, you might think, well, why are you using a choddy on here rather than a standard hook? I just like it opening the gape even more, basically, here. It still turns, flips and turns, excuse me, nice and easily. But again, it's just a slightly upper wide gauge from a standard wide gape. And I do sharpen my hooks, especially pop-ups, but I won't do it for bottom baits. So that's the first part of the rig element. And this is a size 4, I should say. And again, it just sits there perfectly, resets itself each time. And again, you've got a strong wire gauge hook for the snag fishing, so it'll help you get them in. So that's tip 1, the rig. Make sure it's nice and simple, but super strong. Okay, guys and girls, the next tip is all about lead size. So I use 4-ounce leads for my PVA bag fishing. If I'm fishing at range, I'll step that down to 3.5. But what's really important about this is that if you're, I don't know if ever you've tried it, and I suggest doing it, but obviously be super careful. If you're using a 2-ounce lead and you've tied a hook length on and you try and lift the short hook length, you can find you can almost lift the lead off. And I'm not condoning doing it because you probably will hurt yourself, so please don't. But the reality is that if you try that with a 4, you will hook yourself. And the hooking properties is everything about this rig. So 4 ounce all the way. Now this one, you'll notice this has a nice groove in the middle. You can see a bit of pellet from whatever I was using last time. Basically in the center. Now the smallest ring is where you tie hook length to, and a larger flexible ring is where you attach your main line that would then sit through this groove and come out along this stem here, and then you'd have a small tail rubber just pushed on the end. So basically, in event of the fish picking up, shaking its head, all this would drop off, the lead would drop off, and you've got direct contact to the fish. Now, staying with that theme of heavy leads, this is what I'd use in open water. This is my open water lead arrangement for inline fishing. Got 2 Nash dropper beads here, the tungsten loaded ones, 4 ounce square lead, and of course this fluorocarbon, 40-pound fluorocarbon leader here as well. Still robust, you know, very resilient. You can utilize this for many fishing trips, but of course you've got that visibility factor too. So 4 ounce lead, massive tip. Now remember, everything I'm talking to you about today is designed for up to around 40 yards, mostly close in margin stuff. Now of course you can drop these down to 3.5, 3 if you want to, but obviously the hooking potential will be limited. Okay, so tip 4 is all about the bait. So I will start off with some of this. Okay, this is the new spicy sausage bait from NX Bait that obviously I've chopped up, and I've added a bit of their special bait glug as well. And yeah, it smells absolutely fantastic. Now, lots of different bits here, lots of flavour going on there. Oversaturated baits to help fight the smell of the substrate, because it is a very silty venue that I fish quite a bit. So yeah, lots of different sizes, a lot of baits, you know, different size, different sucking power needed by the carp to pick them up, so it does confuse them a little bit. And obviously just lots of different shapes. So so yeah, that goes in next. And yeah, the final bit to add is this. So we're adding humble pellet. Now this is a low fat content pellet. I know that in the summer you can use high oil if you want to, but this is a specific flavoured pellet, and we're going to be doing loads of flavoured pellet from NX Baits shortly, which you'll all be able to use and I'm sure very much love. So that is next to go in the mix. Now let's tie up that bag together. So we're using the open water setup that I showed you before. Now what I've done at this point is I've basically threaded the loop of the hook length through the ring here, and then basically passed hook length through it and tied it off. I've used a Chodit tool from Corda. I'm sure there's a variety of other ones that do it very well, to make a hole in the bottom of the bag, and I've threaded it through. Now earlier we said about 2 other options. One is where you're fishing inside the bag and you loop the hook length on top of the lead with all the bait and everything else. The other one was where you use a very big bag and you have it nice and straight. This is probably the most used method, and this is, I think, an edge. So what am I going to do next? Well, next, PVA nugget. A bit tricky because usually I use bigger bags, but this will do. In fact, I'm just going to trim this down so it fits in a little bit easier. There we go, lovely jubbly. I can't really just say job. Sound like Devil Boy, yeah? Right, okay, so feed this down to you, and I think as you can probably mostly guess what you're going to be doing with the hook once you've attached the rig, but basically you're going to attach the bait and then pull the hook into this element here. So what do we do next? Next is for some bait. So let's get our bucket of bait. Okay, so holding this like this, you might not see this bit, but I'm just going to load some bait in here. And again, the great thing is the hook point is absolutely protected from all of this. And you've got the smaller pellets to fill the void left by bigger baits. And again, we're using the NX baits, sausage in here, matching glug, and obviously we've got pellet in there as well. That's it. Okay. So at this point, this is how much pellet we've got in there and bait. We're now going to load the lead in there, okay. Alright, don't be scared to push it in quite far. It's going to be sit on one side. You notice I'm pushing it down one side of the bag, okay. So I'll just push some of this bait over a little bit. And what I find helps is if you lie it flat and just push it down and create a bit of a void there for the lead to go in. Now, as I said, I usually use bigger bags, but in this instance, one of the small quarter ones is going to have to do. So they're quite robust. Push it down. Okay, just work it in where you can. There you go. Remember, you're only casting this very short distance or using a bait pole or something like that. I know my friend saw me using this and took it onto Horton and has done very, very well. And there we go. Okay, so at this point, this is what it's going to look like. All right. So then, with these edges, lick it, fold it down onto the back of the lead like this. Okay, that's all I've done there. Other side, do exactly the same. Remember, don't worry about aerodynamics. You're not going to be casting this far. And as I say, most people will be dropping these sorts of rigs by bait pole. And then the final bit, I just give it a twist at the top. Just hold it. There you go. Just give it a few more seconds. That's it. And if you find these little loose bits, just give that a little stick down. There you go. That's basically what you're looking at this point. Okay, so you've got your hook length just set out like that. There you go, it should be quite easy to see there. And then basically you got your lead arrangement in there as well. So at this point, the next stage to do is just, I know we're not casting far, but I just like it to look neat, but I'm going to just pull in those corners. So again, just lick and stick method, nothing spectacular there. Just hold it down. And do the other side. And again, fishing that pop-up just gives you utter confidence. So right, at this stage, this is where we're at. Nice and straightforward. Got loads of goodness in there, loads of attraction. We know that this is going to sit on the bottom, even, you know, when we're fishing fairly tight lines. I mean, you know, obviously out in the pond, which is what this one is for. But if I was fishing this in the snags, then obviously super locked up. And then I use a bivvy peg next to my back of my, so if you imagine this is my rods, and let's say, I don't know, the snag's over here, as the rod tip pulls round, the back of the rod goes that way. So I put either a bank stick or more often than not a little bivvy peg here that sits just proud to stop it moving. And then on this side, because basically I don't often use snag gears on mine, I prefer to do it this way. Then I have a big bank stick here to stop it going that way at all. A little tip I used so it doesn't damage the butt resters, I use a little alarm pouch cover. I've got old Steve Neville pouches that I put on top of the bank stick, so it just protects the rod as it's sweeping round. Right, next, attach the bait. Now, There are times I use bottom baits, but most of the time I use pop-ups. Now these are the pop-ups from NX Baits again. These are the spicy sausage. And yeah, I don't need to say it like I do every video. Oh my god, they smell amazing. They do. They really are ridiculous. So let's put one of those on now. Typically I'll trim them down, so let's give them a bit of a trim. Just to fall in line with the baits that are in the bag, obviously. Now, one thing I picked up from Mr. Scott Lloyd when I was fishing on Christchurch was that, and he is right, I can see what he's saying, but basically I kind of cone the baits so that essentially, like he does with his, you know, whenever he's doing his videos, you notice he does it with his barrels. He sort of thins them down towards the bottom end. And I don't know how well difference it makes, but I've used it and it's not had any sort of detriment. And what he was saying about how it can get, it's a bit harder for them to take in, I agree with. So I've just done it this way. And by that, I mean, I've just sort of trimmed down. So hold that there. I've just trimmed it down so it's not as fat at the bottom here, basically, guys. So let's hold that up so you can see it a little bit more easily. And probably could trim that a little bit more, just I can't even say the word, basically to show it a little bit better, basically. But there you go. Okay, so all we can do now, attach this to some bait floss. God, they smell lush. All right. Yeah, I should say the reason why it hasn't got all the NX bait stickers on the outside of this is because these were sort of the first batch. So yeah, but yeah, obviously they come out of all the NX sort of stickers and stuff on the pots. So just straight through like that. Attach your baits. Now, depending on wildlife, typically I like to put a little bit of, I don't know why, yellow. I know a lot of people use yellow, but I use the sort of coloured pink on the top here. A little bit of pink on there helps find it, but that's really, really good if I'm doing like this one. So my hands in the way, like this one for a rig that's going out into open water. But typically if I'm snag fishing, then I won't do that because the birds will see it straight away. But yeah, it usually helps as a sight bob to just put that on top. In this instance, I'm just going to tie a knot like this. There we go. And that's it, nice and straightforward. Okay, so now just give it a trim. Leave about 1 centimetre. Get your lighter, and obviously just give it a blob. Okay, now nice and straightforward, as we said before. I just hook this in, not too deep, you know, literally just like that, just so I can see it the other side. So you get the benefit's not going to hook anything. It's not going to take ages to come off because literally just here, I don't know how well you can see, but the hook is only just underneath the PVA nugget. Okay, it's literally only just under it, so it'll come off nice and quickly, so you're fishing really rapidly. And then that will just fold out and sit like that. So looks a bit ungainly, looks a bit weird, but I promise you that will catch you a lot of carp. So give it a go, and I promise you, you'll start catching some very tricky carp out there. Again, you know, when it's sitting on the bottom, is it much different to a normal PVA bag? Probably not massively, but I just find this way just gives me a little bit of an edge because I know that that's not going to be hooked in on any of these, and it allows me to use a slightly longer hook length. Yes, I could put a really teeny hook length in there, and yes, I could still put the PVA at the bottom, but I like that extra length because I have bumped fish when I'm using really ultra short hook lengths. So I like to have sort of around 4.5–5 inches of a stiffer and this is the key, you can say you use 5 inches inside, but yeah, you absolutely can, but of thinner diameter uncoated braid. This allows me to use almost like a normal rig that's going to reset itself perfectly. It's got the rigidity, it's got the extra robustness of the coating, and of course, you know, allows me to use that longer hook length. So that is my PVA bag approach. A little bit different, but I'm allowed, you know, again, using bigger baits. And of course, because the lead is this side, when it lands, it's not going to land on top of each other. It's going to land straight like that. That's going to melt, pop up, drop down perfectly. So as the bait spreads out, it'll be at the foot of the pop-up. And again, you've got the nice, clear fluorocarbon leader with those two little dropper tungsten loaded sort of beads there. So hopefully that helps. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it. I'm just saying it's the way I do it and it works. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Everyone has their own ways of doing things, and I'm sure they're all very, very good. It's just the way I fish. It's helped me catch some tricky fish because of that resetting property and the robustness of that rig inside there. And again, another benefit of that huge big bit of the foam nugget in there, again, just slows it. Saying yes, it's 4 ounces, it's going to go down quick. But the thing is, every 1% I can help take on that silt, i.e. that it slows it down just enough that it doesn't bury itself in the silt. You know, that we've got pop-ups on there, that we've got overly stinky bait on there as well. We're using fluorocarbon that's going to help it disappear and sink down, that's robust as well. We've got heavy leads to help set that hook home. We've got a heavier wire gauge of hook, and we've got a bait I know that they love. So hopefully that really helped you guys, and you know, give it a try when you're on the bank, and let us know in the comment section how you get on. Thanks for your time, and enjoy your fishing. So okay, guys and girls, this is what the end product will look like when it's all mixed together. Highly oily, very oily bait, I should say. And again, there's a lot of small baits there that will keep it, you know, basically falling in between the little stones on the bottom and you know, the bits of silt and everything else. It will just help fight the smell of the silt, get stuck under any stones under there, and keep wafting the smell out. You've got some smaller food items that will keep the roach and rudd busy, and in doing so, stirring up the bottom. But of course, then you've got the pop-up that's not going to get, you know, gnarled up on the bottom. Again, the problem with bottom baits sometimes is that it can happen with the smaller fish turning things over, wafting everything around. It can cause some problems with that pop-up. You're kind of safe, but you've got some bigger items there that will stay there until the bigger fish come, and again, really seeping out that strong, pungent sort of sausage aroma. Fantastic baits, and I'm utterly sold on them. But yeah, that's tip 5 is all about having belief in the PVA bag. And I know it sounds stupid, but what I mean by that is have confidence that if you've located the fish, you know you've got fish in front of you, leave it. Don't touch it. Don't put any extra bait out with it. Just leave it. It is such an overpowered bag with all that liquids. And again, I should have said earlier, but I leave that mix to soak in for 48 hours. I mean, I let that liquids soak into every tiny pellet, every big bit of boilie, every bit of powder. So it's constantly working for you. And again, as I keep saying, that it's fighting that smell of the silt on the bottom. But again, just leave it, guys. As long as you've done your due diligence, you found the fish, don't put any extra bait in. Have faith in it. Now, I'm going to go on a session after this video. I'm going to take that exact PVA bag that we tied earlier and use that one. Let's see how we get on with it. So join me in session. The next time I see you, I'll be on the bank. So fingers crossed, and let's see if those PVA bags can continue to do the business. Well, hello everyone. We're just getting towards the lake now. It's the tail end of July. We're coming into August next week, and yeah, earlier on you would have seen my sort of version of the PVA bag that I use for sort of margin and real tricky lakes where the fish are a little bit more cute, and you sort of or you may find that it's a rig that's best suited to lakes where there's some nuisance species and you need it to reset. And if it's something that's got to be really carefully placed, whether it's by a boat or bait and spoon or something like that, then you want it to reset nice and easily. So yeah, that's basically the rig. We're going to use it in this session now, and yeah, let's see how we get on. I mean, the weather looks very, very good. It's been quite warm today, but I think it's going to tail off tonight to around sort of 15, 16. So it's been super hot during the day, so 16 is still really high and everything, but it's certainly cooler than during the day. So not many people on tonight. So I'm confident I'm going to get one of sort of 3 swims that I'd be confident in if I couldn't see any fish. So obviously I'll have a walk around first, but yeah, let's get to the lake. Let's see how we get on. And yeah, just really great to read you know, some of the sort of bits of feedback I've had and everything on the video. So I really appreciate it, guys. I know, you know, there's different levels of angler watching these, and you know, I appreciate you all coming along and having a watch. Hopefully some of the stuff I'm putting out there helps you in your fishing. That's the sole aim of this, really, just to get out there and pass on stuff that's working for me, and equally sometimes I pick up things from other people's videos, so it's all about helping each other out there, guys. So without further ado, I will get to the lake, I'll park up, and then I'll come back to you when the rods are out. All right, guys, cheers. Well, good morning. It's now the 27th of June. We're back down that tricky old club water. It's very difficult to leave this water, you know. You probably get waters yourself where you just build a bit of an affinity to it. The fish are stunning, and they're big, so you know, it's close to home, so it makes sense for me to come down here. And actually, I've not been fishing my syndicate as much as probably I should be, but yeah, I'm here. The missus gave me a green light to go fishing, so back down, let's have a look at the lake. So as you can see, I'm fishing locked up on one rod. I do use the little tent pegs just to keep the rod in situ, as well as a spare bank stick just by the side of the rod. It's just absolutely locked up, solid. The fish don't really go anywhere, you know, unless you point the rod at a fish. It's very unlikely for it to be, you know, whipped in if you're fishing it like that, so it's pretty stable. I see it's bobbing by the right hand rod. I'm fishing out to a set of lily pads. Sorry if I'm being quiet, but I'm fishing quite close in, so I don't want to be too loud, and obviously I don't want to pee off the other anglers on the lake. But yeah, weather looks absolutely spot on, I've got to be honest. It's fishing tough, but saying that, one did come out last night. I think I want to say 19 pound, the guy said 17 or 19 pound fish came out, which is small for in here, but still well done to that guy, because that's good angling. So yeah, in terms of bait, I've got the fantastic new, where is it? It says just here, fantastic new baits with me. These are unbelievable. So these are the new sausage from Next Baits. I haven't got any stickers on the tub at this point, because this was one of my early batch samples. But it's one of those classic things where you say, oh, I wish it was smell-o-vision, because we had a good idea of just how rich these smell. They are unbelievably nice. Oh, I'll just drop one. Yeah, well, I know I seem to do that every time I smell one of our pop-ups, but they are absolutely immense. And yeah, I've literally been using the pop-ups for a while, but I haven't had, I've been using them as singles, but I haven't had any bottom baits, so they've kind of just rolled them all up for me now. Well, for now, yesterday, and I've been trying them tonight, so let's see how we get on. Again, really rich, got that sort of robin red type base mix, and yeah, it's just really, really rich and pungent sort of smell. And yeah, well, I'm absolutely blown away with them, can't speak probably. Yeah, it's a difficult one, you see, because I started off using the crab and cray, and still now absolutely love them. It's like anything, you want to try something and worried you're missing out something. So then I tried the Scopex Peach. Oh my god, did I love those. And the missus loved it because the house didn't smell of crab and cray when I was like breaking up baits and all the rest of it. And then yeah, Marathon. So the Marathon is one of the, well, it's a big winner within the team because it's got loads of nut inside the bait. It's really good, crunchy. And yeah, tried that, did really well on that. I was just getting into the swing of using it, and then this one came out, and I was like, give that one a try as well. And I've got to say, I do like fishing with like a dark red bait. Probably just takes me back to reading all about Terry Hearn and his sort of little robin red like pop-ups he was using on his hinge stiff rigs and everything. But yeah, no, they just always seem to do well. So confidence very high. Again, tricky lake. I say it probably every video, but quite a few members on here easily go 15-20 nights without a bite. One guy I spoke to, I think on one of my previous videos, like 40 nights or something. Utter respect for him to keep coming back and doing what he's doing and stuff. And as far as I'm aware, I think he's had one, so good on that man. Anyway guys, I always promised I wouldn't waffle too much, so I'll come back to you a bit later on and yeah, have a look at hopefully a fish. Cheers. Okay guys, so with my fishing I travel really light, and I often get asked, you know, surely you're forgetting something, but I keep everything simple. I mean, I've literally got a bed chair, a bivvy, my bag and my rods, because this lake you have the nets and all that sort of mats and stuff there for you, so it makes it nice and easy. But listen, let's have a look at what's in my bag now. I literally take one bag for everything, so let's have a look. So if we look down here, I've just got the ESP bag, and what I do really is inside I've just got my bucket, and yeah, let's have a look what's inside. So I'll take this off. So I keep these nice and simple. So on the top here, I've opened up like that. I've got my scissors and my pliers and everything here, and hooks. Then hook links, I keep it really simple. I only use a couple of, use the boom, and use braid as well, but some of these haven't got any in there at the moment. Then this side, just got some fake maggots, leads, floss, and always use cam trawlers where I can. And then lift this up. Put a right old mess under it, to be fair. So, got my bait in there. And then I've just got some spare PVA bags. Can't even see from this angle. And then got my hook baits that you know about already. Spare gas, PVA bags. And here, just some nuggets. So simplicity really, guys. Nothing spectacular. But it also doubles as a comfortable table just to pop your tea onto, and your phone and all that stuff. And then just in the side I keep my bivvy pegs, toothbrush and stuff. And then, to be honest, the front bag's really fun. Okay guys, so 26 pounder, caught on that fantastic new sausage bait, spicy sausage from NX Baits. Keep the rig simple like the ones I showed you in the office, and you can have fish like this. Enjoy your fishing and tight line.